What's up, everyone? This is your Ticket2Reality. I am your host, TJ Zwarych, editor-in-chief of agentsofandom.com, joined, as always, by my fellow agents, Emma and Ryan. No Lee today. He was not able to join, too busy, so we brought in a very adequate substitution to Ryan's delight, because he doesn't have to deal with Lee for this entire episode now. No, of course we're gonna miss him, but I got my partner Ava joining us, as well as Obi-Wan's coming in to say hello as well. Ava, I'll go to you first. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me to hang out.
Ava is a Love Island expert, and so we're talking about Love Island as the first 6 episodes have dropped at time of recording, and so we had to bring them in and to make sure we could talk some Love Island on top of The Bachelorette, the two main things we're going to be covering today. Ryan, how you doing, my man? It's been nice. I wasn't at Ticket to Reality last week. Or no, yes I was. Was I? No, I wasn't at Ticket to Reality last week. But you were at on the Agents of Fandom podcast, so I feel like I didn't even miss you.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, actually, wow, that's so crazy how time keeps moving so quickly. It feels like... I mean, we're already at the end of July, and it's a lot of reality TV coming at once with The Bachelorette and Love Island USA back, and soon to be Golden Bachelor, which we'll eventually talk about. But yeah, like it's a busy summer of reality TV, and it might be an even longer time to deal with reality TV with the things going on right now.
Depending on the length of these strikes, and I'll just say you can remind me to talk about it off air, but I've heard some things in terms of how lengthy this may be, but we may be Ticket to Reality may become the most prominent Agents of Fandom podcast, and a real mainstay of the type of content that we're doing. Emma, how are you? You got a big birthday trip coming up, don't you?
Yeah. So it's kind of, once Ryan mentioned, well, I'm excited for the trip. Not as
Yeah,
excited for the birthday. You're like, oh god, not so excited for the birthday, definitely. But it just reminded me how we started Ticket to Reality just about a little over a year ago. And I remember one of our, within the first month of recording, I was like, oh my god, I turned 29 next week. And now suddenly I turned 30 next week. So I don't know how that happened. But we're just dealing with it. It's okay. Just having occasional existential crises. Sometimes I'm accepting of it. It's fine. It'll be fun. But I will be in New York next week to celebrate. So I'm very excited for that. But yeah, I am just always excited to talk about reality TV. And like you guys mentioned with the strikes, I think you're going to want to be following us at Ticket to Reality because we will be delivering some content.
Yeah, as unscripted shows take the forefront of television, the small benefit, the small silver lining, I'm always trying to find one. Obviously, we want these studios to start paying the writers and the actors what they are worth. And so hopefully that can get done. But in the meantime, there's going to be a lot of reality television. And so that is good when you run a reality TV podcast. Before we dive into Love Island, this is the show that I'm so excited to talk about because you guys know me. I feel like for a while now, I've just been like, oh, so what are you guys watching? What are you guys watching? What are you guys watching? And so now that whenever we get one of the big 3 for me of Love Island, Big Brother, and The Circle, I'm going to be diving back in full force. And so we got Love Island, and I want to talk a lot about that. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about The Bachelorette. The two of you with Lee had a nice recap episode of The Bachelorette last week. What's going on now? Emma, tell us what's happening in Bachelorette land.
So last week was pretty interesting. We had Brayden, who most of us don't like. I think this was last week. He left, and then it was. And then he decided to come back for just a second because he didn't like how things ended. So that was weird. It kind of took away a lot of the guys' time with Charity. So this week we have, it's only like 6 guys left at this point, starting in this episode. And so they have a weird 2-on-1 date with Tanner, who I now remember his name. And then now I'm forgetting Sean, who I really don't like. So instead of, like the opposite of a VIP or like MVP for the episode, I'm going to just say my opposite person that I hate the most. It's Sean. He was really pissing me off this episode because, like, well, I don't know. First of all, the 2-on-1 dates are normally reserved for two people in the in the pool of women or men that have the most drama with each other. But this one, it just seemed like they needed to just get rid of two guys or one guy so they could go to hometowns. And so it was just really weird. It was just a random 2-on-1 day with Sean and Tanner. But Sean was not taking it well. He very much was like, I'm not getting enough time with her. Like, this isn't fair. And then he thought he had it in the bag. He was like, oh, I impressed Charity and this and that, but she didn't give out a rose at all. So that was kind of, it was just weird. This whole episode was kind of weird. And I really don't like how they're accelerating the season so much, because we had to sit through Zach's entire season painstakingly last season. But then Charity, who I like a lot, we're getting like not that many episodes, and we're suddenly already on hometowns next week. So it's just kind of odd. I don't really like how they're doing that. Maybe it's because we have the Golden Bachelor coming out and Bachelor in Paradise at some point. They're kind of like, oh, we need to fit all this in. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird. But now we're left with 4 guys, I think, going into hometowns. And I like most of them. So we'll see how it goes. Ryan, what did you think of this episode? Because this is your first season watching, so I'm curious of your perspective.
Yes. So, I mean, you and Lee both brought up like these 2-on-1s that's going to be a thing, and I guess like to your point, it felt like this was the weirdest pairing to have. It was more just like, well, these are kind of the bottom 2 of the choices, so I'm just trying to eliminate one of them. And Sean is definitely annoying this throughout the entire episode. It like last episode, I talked about how some of these guys just don't realize what show they're on. But yet when they go on it, they like obviously know the format and everything. But like, it's just the idea of you are competing with other men for Charity's heart. Like, that going in, and to even make it this far, like that's amazing. So I don't know. You should feel lucky to have made it this far, but. Yeah, no, Sean was just complaining the entire time of like, I wish I had more time with her and everything. Well, I mean, you are, and you should make the most out of the time that you are spending with her. That's how I saw it. And then, Lee's not here, but even Aaron B was kind of getting on my nerves. Yeah, Lee's favorite person, Aaron B, was just also.
Lee, am I right? Am I right, Ryan?
Yeah, exactly. He's not here to defend himself. So. But no, seriously, like last week I didn't realize just like, we were complaining about Braden, but now that Braden's gone, Aaron B is kind of like almost there. Not to the extent of Braden. Sean definitely took that, but I've noticed a lot more to complain about with Aaron B, where he's also complaining, but he's got into 1-on-1 dates with Charity. So it's like, you had the time. If you're maybe not getting that right now, then well, it's because she wants to explore things with these other guys who haven't been so lucky. So, I'm not surprised he made it, because considering he did have 2 1-on-1s, but it's just interesting how it's getting very messy now that the pool has kind of slimmed down. But it'll be interesting to see the hometowns. Again, it's my first time, so I'm not really sure, like, is it just meeting the parents and stuff like that, and what are the parents going to say? There was such a big, and our actual favorite person is Joey, and I think Joey and Charity had such a great moment of the like the realistic talk of like, obviously Joey is not the same ethnicity as Charity, and they had to have that talk about interracial couples and the pressures that come with that. And so it was such a lovely discussion between the two of them, and seeing Charity like really pour her heart out and feel everything that Joey's saying, and how Joey handled it was really great. So I mean, I'm still rooting for Joey, right? But Dotton's really good too. Like when they had their it's honestly, I mean, if I was Charity, it's a tough decision between Joey and Dotton. It could literally sway either way, and I wouldn't be mad about it, but I can't imagine like the weight of that decision.
Yeah, I kind of anticipate, because we keep seeing in the previews, it's like, I mean, this happens a lot, but it's like, oh, I'm in love with 2 people. It's probably going to be between Joey and Dotton. And honestly, I'd be happy if either of them ended up at the finale with Charity, or ended up as Bachelor. So I'd be happy either way, I think. The one thing I thought, so I love Joey, and then the one thing I thought with Sean, it felt very much like he was acting. Like he it did not seem authentic at all. Like he was kind of,
You
I don't
trying
know.
to tell
I
me
just
he's not there for the right reasons?
yeah, I think that's. I'm trying to say like that phrase is used so much, but that's pretty much what I'm saying. He
I
like
love that.
I don't know. I just got very much like he's just trying to put on the show for the camera vibes of his like crying and this. And I'm like, I don't really buy the connection that you guys had. Like you're talking all about this, but like you know, you maybe went on a couple dates and won one of the challenges, but like I didn't buy it. So I'm like, all right, you can put the tears away. I don't believe you. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah, like he kept mentioning Ocean. Like the only reason I know Oceanside is because he kept mentioning throughout this entire episode. Like that's when they had their sunset moment and the kiss. I was like, we get it. Like you had that moment. There's, you know, you've had other times with her. Like we don't have to focus on this one moment that you kissed her. Like I was just over it. And yeah, like it definitely feels like his confessionals are one thing, and then how he is with Charity whenever the camera's like actually on them during the date stuff, like he's a completely different person. So I mean, it was weird how, like, I mean, again, it's my first time, but it was just weird how she never gave a rose during the 2-on-1 date.
It was weird. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, fair. Like, it is a tough decision for her to choose, and, you know, that's very authentic of her to not make that decision. But could have just.
She probably should have just sent both of them home at that point, honestly.
I was actually thinking.
Feeling it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, she's going to put the rose down and be like, no,
Yeah.
no one gets it.
Neither
I was
of
like,
you.
I was like, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
Fresh. Like, yeah.
I was like, all right, yeah, because it was kind of weird. I mean, another thing I didn't like about Sean was how, like, when she's trying to send him home, and he's like, if we could just, like, you know, have some more time and one-on-ones. I'm like, this is not how this works. This is not on your timeline. This is an accelerated show. That's just the whole point. Like, she's not gonna just keep you around and try to, especially with it being such a short season. It seems that that's just not how it works, buddy. Like, just please go. I'm done with you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad, and I think, yeah, after that, because yeah, it's Tanner, Aaron B,
Yeah.
Dotton, and Joey. Just
wait, it's Xavier.
oh yes, Xavier.
Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, I think it's Xavier, Dotton, Joey. Oh wait, no, hold on.
Is it just 5?
And Aaron. I think it's just 4.
So who got
Aaron,
eliminated?
Xavier, Dotton, and then Joey, and then Tanner and
Oh,
Sean
right.
eliminated.
Right.
Yeah.
Again,
I know there's. It's
we started with like
honestly
20
I know
something.
these names.
Yeah.
It's
And
weird
like,
I know these names at this point.
right, yeah, and then as we transition to like Love Island, there's already a bunch of people's names. I'm
I'm not
and
gonna know any of the names.
so yeah, just transitioning between these 2 different reality shows. I'm like, okay, well,
It's a lot. It's a lot of people.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so hometown should
similar-
be interesting. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Love Island, I feel like, is similar to The Bachelorette in the way that there's a lot of these people that are like, do you not realize what game you're on? There's a purpose to this show.
Yep.
I feel like you're kind of totally missing that. But we do still have more Bachelorette to come, obviously finishing out this season. The Golden Bachelor coming, and we have Bachelor in Paradise as well. I feel like, Ava, that's much more of a show for you and I, because Bachelor in Paradise has the Love Island feel.
See, but that's the thing about like both of the shows. They take all these people who are like naturally monogamous and then puts them in like a polyamorous situation, and then they say like, what, like your feelings are hurt that you're like on this show, or alternatively they're like, I can't believe they're not loyal, and it's like, well, what did you think would happen? And it's just like, I feel bad for these people because I'm like, you are not built for this polyamorous moment. And but then it's supposed to be like, then you end up with just like 1 and 1 person, so it's like no one's winning this because you're either in pain on the way through, or at the end you're probably like, well, maybe we could like have a little throuple going on here or something.
Yeah, it's always weird to see that play out.
Diving into the specifics of this season of Love Island USA, there were so many interesting Islanders for this season. Em, I want to throw it to you first. Did you have any that stand out? We'll be able to name them if you can kind of describe. Did you have any stand out as like your favorites, or alternatively, who you just were like, oh my gosh, they're the worst?
So definitely the guy, I think it's Marco or whatever. Yeah, he's the worst. I'm like,
He
literally
is the
everything,
worst.
genuinely the worst. Everything that came out of his mouth, I was just like, I just didn't really have any words because I'm like, are you really saying that right now? It's just ridiculous talking about his body count and then this and that. I'm like, I
that
I
was
can't
like,
with you.
oh
That
my
was
gosh,
gross.
like I don't know how old you are. I don't know, like
I don't know where it is. I don't remember who it is, but I know it's 72.
Yeah. My,
okay, Barney Stinson, like stop. Nobody's impressed.
Like, Marco, what are you, like? Are you? Yeah, is this supposed to win someone over?
Right.
Do you say this out loud and then like you're hearing like something that like people are gonna like really want to hear?
Yeah, it's that I was just like, okay, so this is the vibe. This is what we're kind of like. This is what we're kind of working with. I'm trying to think of anybody.
And like, does he improve? Absolutely not.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, there's just people like that. I feel like come in and there's just no like. The only times I've seen is like Too Hot to Handle, like a couple seasons out of the 5 now. That there's been some people that start off like, oh, I absolutely hate you, but then they end up growing a lot by the end of the season. But I'm not expecting much from this guy.
I certainly wouldn't either.
Yeah.
He 100% just seems like a discount store Jack Harlow. Like it seems like that's the aesthetic that he's going for. That's like that's who he aims and aspires to be in his life. Because he also says so many other cringy things, just like speaking to a black woman and being like, oh, you're totally my type. And she's like, well, what's that? And he's like, well, you know, girls with like tan skin. And it's like,
he did say women of color later on. And I am like, my sister is also on the Love Island train. So like we like FaceTime each other and like text each other as it happens. And so they said to me, like, Marco's half black. And I was like, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. That's not true. And then like she was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm sure. And I was like, do you know that? Like, have you seen some like parental pictures? Like, do you know that? And they were like, no, I just assumed because of the things that they were saying. And I was like, they 100% would love to be black. I'm sure they're very complimented by the fact that you would say that. But no, there's no way. And then we look it up. He's like Italian. He's wearing his do-rag in bed. I was like, who is this guy?
He goes to bed every night with a do-rag, and it's like, my man.
Anyway, and then Kathleen, my sibling, she says, well, I just feel like wouldn't someone like have called him on being like, you're fetishizing women of color if you say something like that? And I was like, bro, are you serious? You think someone on Love Island is going to say that you're fetishizing
way
people
too
of color?
much
No one says that.
this kind of show. Like,
we're not going that deep. No one has that language.
No, they definitely don't.
That's
yeah, it's interesting. This is my first time watching Love Island, and like, well, first of all, I just love the aesthetic of it. It's really like the area is really pretty, and it looks like, I mean, they kept mentioning Barbie Dream House, and I'm like, yeah, you know, coming right out of Barbie. But yeah, I don't know. It remains to be seen whether there's going to be anyone that I'm like fully rooting for. I do like, I think it's Kiki and Keenan. Yeah. That I love when there's a couple that has like instant chemistry in any of these shows. And so that always makes me happy. Because then the total opposite was like Anna and the burger guy, Bergie, whatever.
Bergie.
His name is.
Oh my god, Bergie!
Let's go!
I have started counting every episode how many times he says "let's go." He averages about 5.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Yep,
5, and that's usually just meaning like how much screen time he gets. So like if he gets more screen time, it just amps it up. But he's not very interesting, so he's got like no screen time.
Yeah, he's about as bland, mediocre white dude as you could possibly get. So
how did he make it on the
invested.
show? I'm like,
that's a great question.
It's the personality. I totally feel like would be something where it's like, you know what, this is brand new to the show. Not only is he a virgin, but like he's only kissed 1 or 2 girls before. He's never cuddled or slept in the same bed with a girl before. This is all gonna be like brand new to him. But it's literally just a dude, you know what I mean? Like I don't even mean to be throwing shade his way, but it's like, it's Love Island. This is just a guy you'd see on the street.
Yeah.
He is so fair. Like he's so fairly average, right? It's like
he's very average.
he seems like a nice guy, but also like just a nice, like, I don't know, like, yeah,
Very
just,
generic, decent,
just a
maybe
nice guy.
dude.
But it is interesting because it's like, in my personal opinion, I would say that everyone there are like 10s, and I don't know, in my opinion, if I would say he's a 10.
Yeah,
Now,
I don't think I would say.
the thing also about Love Island, which I love, it's sort of like the great equalizer, because you got all these like hotshots coming in there being like, I don't go after people go after me. I don't care what's stepping on toes. People are like, chase me around. I don't care. All these bombshells say that, right? Everyone says that. And then you get in there, and turns out everybody's hot. So it turns out you actually have to bring something else to the table. You can't just be hot. You actually have to have some like humor or personality or something. And I'm like, I don't know that Bergie's necessarily like hilarious, or super attractive. So it's like, he does seem like a nice person, but it does seem like usually like these people are usually like, holy shit, they're smoking, right? Like Carmen's out here. Carmen's like a freaking model.
Yeah.
Like these are like
Fergie.
It's like 10, it's like 12 out of 10s. It's like they're insane.
And
I don't know. I don't want to be mean to Bergie. He's done
no, he is not toxic at all, which is good.
No. So he's just kind of.
But he is someone that you wouldn't be like. He's not an Instagram influencer, which is like almost all of them are, right?
That's true.
And it's interesting because Victor, who had been paired up with Carmen for the longest time, like, he has the same views. Because what did he even say in his one-on-one with Carmen? He was like, I know that Bergie is not a threat to me.
Is this your Spanish accent?
Yes, this is my it's got a little French in there.
Yeah, I was gonna
say. I saw it halfway through it. I go with what I know. Ryan, we've kind of talked about the people that we've been like, we're making fun of. It's like, why are they there? But who are some of the people that you are rooting for? Because I'm on the same page as M. Like, from the start, KK was my favorite, and I think Keenan probably is my favorite out of the men as well. So Ryan, I'm interested in who are some of the people that caught your eyes. Like, I hope you find what you're looking for.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, yeah, like obviously Keenan and KK were like instant. They're like this season's Timmy and Zito right off the bat, especially with certain drama that's been going on recently, like last season. So it's like they're clearly following that path. Honestly, there's not really much else. Like, Leo's kind of playing the field.
His head will turn for literally anything. Like, literally anyone will come in at literally any time, and he'll be like, oh, what's going on? He literally said to all the guys, I have the problem where I'm always wondering what if. Like, he's not hiding any of this. Like, he said that. So it's like, no one should be with him if they want to be with someone throughout the whole like season. You should probably go with someone else. Like, there's no way they go to Casa Amor and he comes back.
Oh god. Oh yeah.
It reminds me of Creed from Too Hot to Handle last season, where he literally kept like being with the next girl that like came in. Like, he just kept going, and I'm just like, that's not gonna end up getting you anywhere. But good luck, I guess.
No, but also, like, Leo's 22.
Oh, yeah, they're all so young.
Cassie's 22, Leo's 22. Like, they're young, they're babies. I'm like, you're not ready for love. You're 22.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's weird coming off of, like, The Bachelorette or even Love is Blind, and then, like, all these more mature people, or not so mature people, but, like, all the ages, when they're saying their ages, I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I've reached that age where I'm like, no one will be older than me. Like, I'm just like, shit, I'm literally watching kids. Find love.
Like, every time they said 21 and 22, I was like, oh my god, like, I feel so old. These are especially children.
When, like, they say like, I'm 21 and I've been single for 2 years, and my last like long-term relationship was like 3 years, and I was like
you're
wait,
a teenager.
So that was when you were in high school,
right?
Like what do you mean? And they're like, oh, it was really serious. I was like, when you were 16?
Yeah, right. Come on.
Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, I'm just like, what drives you to be on this? Like, have you been single for like a year and you're like, I can't reality TV. I'm ready. Like, I was like,
I love when like a 27 and like older is on, because I sort of feel like you've been out of university, you're working for a while. Maybe you were working, you were like, oh, I just can't find I can't meet people. I want to go do something fun while I'm still in my 20s. But like maybe I'm ready to settle down.
It's like destiny. I feel like that's destiny, where she kind of
Mm-hmm.
has her life put together and she is aware of what she wants. Her first match was Marco, and then she's like, "Oh God, you're the worst."
Yeah.
And she figured it out quick. Kudos to her, because she figured it out quick.
Yeah.
First thing, she figured out how young he was and was like, "Oh." Second thing, she just realized he's the worst, and so she got out of there really.
That
quick.
conversation between them absolutely killed me. When he says, "I think we should like be open to seeing other people," and she's like, "You just kissed me," and he's like, "Yeah, that was a special moment." And she's like, "So you don't actually like care? You just wanted to kiss me? Like this isn't actually like an intimacy thing?" And like he wasn't like, I don't think he was quite getting that. And he was like, "It was a special moment. I wouldn't take it back." And she was like,
Of course
"What?"
you wouldn't take it back.
Yeah. Anyway, and then he says, "I respect you," and she says, "I don't respect you, but thank you." And he said those words, and I was like, how come Marco wasn't like just gobsmacked by the fact she said that?
There is no thought behind his eyes. Like I just do not think he.
It's like the
There's
bimbo
no
eyes.
brain
What do you mean I'm a macho man? How
Oh,
dare you
my
say
God.
that? I'm not a macho man. I would love a live reaction of him watching Barbie, because I just feel like he's just a Ken who hasn't figured it out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like he's just doing everything wrong, and he's trying to do what he thinks the world wants him to do, and he's just every single time getting it
It's
wrong.
like he hasn't figured out that he's just Ken. Like he hasn't
Exactly.
he's Barbie, and it's like,
Yes.
no, man, like
It's like,
you're
no.
just Ken. Like
Yeah.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
Casa Mojo Dojo Casa house for you. Just
yeah.
Stop.
If they don't
exactly.
make a Mojo Dojo Casa House joke when the guys go to Casa Amor,
Oh.
that's just like such a missed opportunity.
I actually wonder if they'll like, what's like the timing of
It's
this?
because
Yeah, I
this is
wonder
probably
if
already.
filming-
Because this has already been filmed. We're
Yes.
posting right now,
Okay.
so I'm like, would they even be like, because they're kind of isolated from the world as well. Like,
That's
there's only
true.
so much that they can do.
But they're still doing this stuff on the app that it's like
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because
you decide who goes. So it's like I still don't really
confusing.
understand how that's working.
Because we're not
Yes.
watching it live. Like in Canada, we watch it on Crave.
Right. Yeah.
But it's,
So
it's
I don't
still
know
just
how it
coming
works for
out
you
every
guys.
day on the States too. Like
Yeah.
mine's also in Canada, but
Yeah.
it's still
Yeah,
just
but I don't
coming
know
out
this.
every day. Like we're live with what they are in the States.
Emma's the minority
I'm
right
so
now.
confused. I'm the sole American here today. I don't know what that is.
We have
I'm
Crave
watching it on
instead of
Peacock.
Max.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Because I'm
Yeah.
watching it on
HBO.
Peacock.
No, it's Max now.
Oh,
right. Yeah. It is.
So
Yeah. It is on
you guys
Peacock
don't have-
there. Yeah. We don't have
You guys don't
Peacock either.
Peacock. Okay.
No.
I think you can get maybe an extension on something. I don't know.
That's weird.
Right. But I think so. It is kind of delayed a bit. Like, I mean, we still haven't had any voting thing, so I don't know about that. But like, I would say we're like it's usually a few days behind, because like usually when a vote happens, they have the weekend to catch up on the episodes, and then the vote will be revealed on the Monday episode. So it could be that if any reference to Barbie happens, it would be from the narrator usually.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so speaking of Barbie, I saw on a interview with Margot Robbie that it was the Vanity Fair one, and they were like saying about like, oh, what they were all trying to guess what Margot Robbie's favorite reality TV show was, and she said it was Love Island.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my gosh, no way. And then they were like, oh, so like which Love Island? And she said, oh, I only watch UK. And I was like, she's Australian and she's not watching Love Island Australia, which in my opinion, from seeing USA, UK, and Australia is the superior Love Island.
Oh,
Interesting.
Those producers know exactly what they're doing. They're drawing diagrams. They know exactly like all the choices they're made. You can like tell like they have perfected their layout for drama so well that it's like they just know. And I don't know for in the UK, it's so long.
The UK they have that too. The UK they're a lot better at that
40
too.
episodes per season.
my
But it's
God.
way
Wow.
too long. Exactly. It's
Jesus.
way
It's like a
too long.
marathon.
Nobody has time for
Also,
that.
like, yeah, honestly, no one has time. But also, like, I can't understand what most of them are saying. I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
that's
yeah.
And the thing that I was getting, so this is the U.S. but like some people have accents, and some like the narrator has a really thick, I guess,
Scottish.
British accent. Yeah, Scottish. I was like, but my subtitles were not syncing up for most of the episodes, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I don't
think
understand.
Love
what they're
Island has
saying.
terrible subtitles. I think that's across the board.
It's also a Peacock thing here. I've had issues with it like syncing up, and I'm just sitting there like staring at. I'm like, okay, like I need to like sit and listen to what they're saying. I just wasn't getting like.
Sometimes they're early, sometimes they're late. So sometimes like on reveals, the subtitles will come up before.
Yeah, it'll come up like first. Yeah.
And so then I'll spoil it for you, and then sometimes it'll be like way later. So like those people that are talking have left the screen. So, like, it's not worth it, honestly.
It's really not. I was like, all right, I guess I just have to like listen to it.
Right.
Another one of my favorites from the show had been Carmen. I don't think she handled the Victor Berge situation all that great. And honestly, not even as much of the how she handled it, but as much as how she handled the conversation with Victor, where it's like he came in a little hot, then she just almost went into gaslighting mode a little bit. And I feel like that could have gone over a little bit better, but I still like both Victor and Carmen. They're still two of my favorites in that group. I think it was really great when Harrison came in, because when we were watching this, that was one of the first things I said was like, we're 2 episodes in and I already really feel like I need a new batch of guys. Like, these guys suck. I kind of like Keenan, and that's... Yeah. Like, Victor's really nice, but he doesn't feel built for this game.
No.
Bergie definitely not built for this game.
He is so excited. Every single episode, he's like, this is the best day of my life. Like, he has said that 3 episodes in a row. Like, he just feels like he's lucky to be there. I'm like, oh, Bergie.
You are.
I mean, yeah
he's really
he's kissed 5 girls throughout his entire, like, throughout 6
also,
episodes.
Like, it's sort of like, I don't think any of the other guys are like keeping track of how many girls they've kissed, but Bergie, like, he knows.
He has a diary. You just know he has a diary. It's your diary. I kissed somebody else today.
Right.
Like, and also, like, you could tell, like, his first kiss on screen was terrible.
Oh god, that was
the fire pit.
Oh
my God.
It was so bad, and you could tell that Anna was just like trying
not
to like
it.
deal with it, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then it's like, and then all the guys were trying to like help him practice.
Yeah, I mean, and he's learning. I mean, he's, as soon as they told him like the hand around the neck thing, he was like constantly. Every time he would kiss a girl, it was like hand around the neck, caress the waist. I was like, okay, he's listening.
He is listening. I think a little bit too much. I think he's listening more than he's like feeling it out for himself.
That's true. How old is he? Because I missed that at the beginning.
I feel like his age didn't stand out, so I'm gonna assume like around like early 20s.
24, 25 maybe ish. One of the reasons I was so happy Harrison popped in is because not only is he, I feel like, just have a different maturity level than most of the other guys there. Outside of maybe Keenan, I think Keenan could kind of be on his level. Something I noticed with him is like, I don't know if this is an all the time thing for him. Maybe it's just because he is on the show, but it really just feels like, you know how when we're anxious or upset about something and our brains are just going really fast, it kind of just seems like he's talking through all of that. Like, he's just very openly communicating. Keenan, yeah. Very openly communicating, like, this is what I am upset about, and I know you don't want me to be upset about that, and so I'm going to work to respect that, but right now I am really upset. And it's just like, even if, like, sometimes his mannerisms give off, like, almost like a little too much aggression, it really does seem like he's just trying to talk through his feelings and figure out how to deal with it in the most mature manner.
He's always calling everyone, like, bro. Like, he's calling, like, AK bro, and I'm like, is that romantic?
Here's the thing: is I don't actually think he's calling them it. I think he's talking to his inner monologue. I think when he's just like he's always like, I don't know, bro, and it's almost just like he's trying to figure his stuff out in a hurry, and so he's talking it through because he doesn't have that like.
That's so fair.
I'm gonna go home, take a couple hours, gather my thoughts. You know, it's like he's there, the cameras are on him, and so he's actually just like talking it through, and it's very interesting. But back to Harrison, what I love the most is he brought one of my favorite, just like, I think it was our probably first moment from the entire series where we went, yes! When they're doing a recoupling, because there's 2 people left. It's Jasmine and it's Destiny. And Jasmine and Anna both just kind of suck. Like, they're just not great. And it's like,
I don't know.
they're... the guys, the girls are hyping up for him to pick Jasmine.
Marco was like really trying to get like Harrison to pick Jasmine, and I was like, why would you date her then? Like, what?
And so he's just like, it seemed like everything was going like the way it seemed like he was going to pick Jasmine. The girls were hyping him up. The guys, especially Marco, definitely were, and just saying like, she just brings something different to
She's so real.
She's so real, and she brings something different to the island. And you just like that she talks about how horny she is. That's all, Marco. that's the reason why. But it was nice that Harrison was kind of able to see past everything and make what I think was a really great decision with Destiny. One, because her maturity with so many youngins there brings a really different aspect to the show, with her straight up saying like, no, I don't respect you. Then in the later challenge, she's still not done with Marco. She's still out there talking about how
he's a snake.
Yeah. And so I'm really happy Destiny stayed. She's one of my favorites. The one I have, I think, kind of like the toughest time with watching is Cassie, because Cassie seems very nice, but just not built for Love Island. Just really not built for Love Island.
She was like biting her nails when they were on the hearts for like the first episode, and I was like, this bitch is nervous, and she hasn't stopped being nervous. And I'm like, maybe your anxiety is just too high for this. Like, this is also like, it is an anxiety-inducing platform. Like, I am concerned, and she's concerned all the time. Like, I don't know. I feel bad for her, and I also sort of feel like she's not been put into great positions either.
Who is that person on Big Brother that had to leave fairly early on? Paloma? Was it Paloma?
Yeah, Paloma. Yeah.
It was one. Cassie reminds me a lot of Paloma in the sense, like, not in that they're the same, but in the sense that, like, you see their intros and the first bit of them hanging out, it's like, wow, they seem really great, really put together. And then as soon as
really like engaging and like sort of compelling.
Yes.
Like, it seems like someone you'd like want to get to know.
And then as soon as the game starts, it literally just seemed like the anxiety got ramped up to 10, and they were just kind of stopped being themselves. And kind of every situation, Ryan, I'm interested to see if you feel similarly with Cassie. But it's kind of like, at one point she said, she's like, I just kind of feel like no matter what I do the wrong thing. And it's like, she said that of like, almost of like this just sucks. I feel like I can't do anything right. I should be felt bad for, but it was true. She just kind of wasn't doing anything right.
No, it oh my god, because this whole situation with her and Keenan, like, I mean, I get, like, you know, the Love Island, once her and Leo were done, she had to, you know, find a new person to match with, but it just felt, you know, I understood her to an extent of, like, during the one of the games where she had to kiss, oh no, when Keenan had to kiss her and she like kind of pulled away, it just felt like, I mean, in that moment, like, yeah, try to be respectful and everything, but I guess for Keenan, like, his argument of that's the moment we should kiss, because like if we kiss outside of a game, then it's kind of more disrespectful in that sense. So that whole conversation that they had about like the kiss and everything, I felt, like I genuinely felt bad for her at that moment, because it's like it's as much as it's like a competition, not a competition, but like finding your perfect person, you're also making friends. And I know one of the jokes,
also $100,000 on the line though.
There's
some
like
competition,
right?
Yeah, exactly. And I know a lot of the jokes in previous seasons are like, this is not Friend Island, this is Love Island. Like, you are not here to make friends.
No one
like,
said that yet. No one said this is not Friend Island.
And it's, weirdly enough, because there's a lot of drama between everyone, so it's like
it always comes on Casa Amor. That's when it's not Friend Island.
They have said like, this is not about making friends. They've said that, but they have not said this is not Friend Island, which I love. It's on my bingo card every single day.
Well, I'm excited to hear that.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, I think we've already heard like, where's your head at? Like, that's a common one with the show.
What's
like,
your type on paper? Which is actually one of their neon signs in the back they added in. So
fine.
Those signs were interesting. It was like weird, almost like signals or something. I'm like,
Oh
okay,
yeah,
that's-
they're always kind of weird. Which also, nobody said this until Harrison came on. Another common Love Island phrase is "it's early days," and no one said that, but Harrison came on and then he said it, and I was like, ah, yes, it is early days, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So it's I wish the best for Cassie, but I mean her situation with Keenan being coupled up with Bergie, like it's so weird because also when she talks to Bergie, it's like it's always oh Bergie, like it's
so
not.
friend zone, hey?
It's friends.
Yeah.
Do you know how much I've heard, do you know how many times I heard that tone early on in high school? Like, I know that tone, Bergie. Like it's that was kind of another one of those things that was like tough to watch with the Cassie Bergie situation. Is like that's how she speaks to him, and it's like it's so clearly friend zone.
But he doesn't know that. Like he thinks like, oh, this
Bergie.
is like romance. Like he doesn't know what romance.
But that's because one of the reasons why is because as soon as it's like he goes and kisses Carmen, and Cassie kind of switched back to like the why would you do that to me kind of thing, and it's like at a certain point, Cassie, like you are on Love Island. That's kind of the person I was referring to about the. Do you understand how this show works? Are you sure this show is right for you? Because all the things she was kind of saying, like, if this is a real world and like two people are in a relationship and you're dared to kiss each other, yeah, it would be maybe disrespectful to fully lean in and go for it. But it's
a show.
It's Love Island, and you guys just talked about how maybe you should see how things work between the two of you. And then, but like that to the side, because I totally get her on that point. But then you switch it to the Bergie standpoint, and it's like, how can you be mad at him when you had no intention? All you want him for is to hopefully keep you around. You're happy he kept you around, but like you have no interest in him, so how can you be mad at him for this when he told you liked her from the get-go?
Yeah. I feel like also I think this might be a little bit like pessimistic, but I think the only reason that Cassie went for Keenan was because the Keenan was like in the most secure relationship, so he showed the most like loyalty, and then she wanted someone to be like that loyal to her. So I think that's why she did that. Like, I think she was like, I need a loyal man. I'll go for the most loyal man here. And it's like, well, maybe you didn't think about how that would go because there's a reason why he's the most loyal man there. So maybe it won't work. But I also do think, like, with that whole Cassie Leo thing, I think that was like, I think it'd just be a mess for everyone, right? Like, I don't think that would be good for anyone at all. But, like, Leo didn't actually make a decision about if he wanted to be with Cassie, Anna, or Carmen. Carmen literally was like, I guess you're not that interested. I guess I'm going to go pursue Victor. And then Cassie was like, I don't like how you were treating me, so I'm going to leave. Which also, like, it's a show. That's how the show goes. But also, like, if she's that unhappy, like, that's good that she said something. And then Leo just sort of, like, ended up with Anna. And it was
Anna
like,
just,
this
like,
is
hopped
so
on
sad.
him. Yeah.
Like, this is, like... And then their chemistry, like... They always on their like little confession cams are like, oh, the chemistry's so good, and I'm like, is it? Like, it didn't look like it, but oh.
Anna needs to go. And so it'd be nice for somebody else to get introduced, and then Leo's head is immediately turned again, because Anna needs to go. And one of the reasons aside from just kind of irking me the wrong way, one of the reasons I realized that like, she's the worst is because who's her best friend in the island? It's Jasmine. Jasmine gets voted off, and the only goodbye interaction they have is Jasmine being forced to console Anna that she has to leave. It's like, Anna, you should be consoling your best friend, not crying and forcing her to console you because she just got voted off. Like,
that was the same with when Bergie decided to leave in the first episode. She like broke down. I'm like, I don't know. It just didn't seem authentic to me. You're just breaking down and crying. I'm like, you knew this guy for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
you're not even like.
And then that is when Bergie's lucky streak hit, and it keeps on hitting.
Yeah.
Okay, since we're talking about Jasmine leaving, I was so happy that Jasmine left. I found that like she was just so like everything she said like contradicted herself. So like the very first moment, like her and Victor are coupled up, and then Victor says like, I'm not into like party girls. And then she says in the dressing room, I don't think it's going to work because I love partying and I'm not changing for anyone. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's fair. Like, don't change for a man. Like, do your thing, right? And then Carmen and Hannah come in and they're both interested in Victor. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, I'm interested in Victor. And then it looks even more like Victor is not as interested in Jasmine. Obviously, they're like not clicking at all. And so then Jasmine like tries to like dig her nails into Victor and is like, "Can I kiss you?" And like, "Oh, wait till you've seen my wild side." And when she said that, I was like, "You really don't. That doesn't make any sense because like, is your wild side like partying? Because he said he's not into that. And if your wild side's not partying, then my guess is it's sex. And in that case, are you trying to like manipulate him with sex? Like, is that what like the goal is?" Anyway, and then Anna afterwards is like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe he let you kiss him." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And then she's like, "I'm blindsided. Carmen should have told me that she was interested in Victor." And I was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
Like, how can any of those just so illogical? And then she's like, "Oh, I'm like really falling for him." And then Carmen and Victor, okay, great. And then Harrison comes in and she's like, "I'm in love. I need to mark my territory. I'm in love with Harrison." And I was like, whoa, that was quick.
Yeah.
Moves very, very quick, and I'm happy that she's gone, and I just found it so hilarious.
So sure that like Harrison was gonna pick her. Like she was like really like, "Oh yeah, it's happening." And then like you could tell she was like nervous at the recoupling. Like obviously everyone gets nervous at the recoupling, but it was like, what? I don't know. Like you can see Harrison talking with all these other girls. Like why would you feel like you, I guess, have like a special connection with him that like doesn't seem that evident? And also, in Harrison's first confession camp, he said about Jasmine, "If that's not a red flag, then I don't know what is."
Yes.
Because it was in reference to her sleeping with a brother and a father to get back at an ex?
It was a brother and a cousin, I
Yes.
think.
Okay, not quite as bad as a father then.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, Jasmine had to go. I hope Anna's the next to go as well as Marco. Those were the three off the bat that I was like, everybody else, it's like, yeah, maybe you got some of your red flags, but I'm enjoying watching you.
I think Bergie's going before Anna. I think next time a guy comes in as a bombshell, my guess is Cassie gets in there, and unless Carmen goes to Bergie, it's either Bergie or Victor going, is my guess. And then my guess is that Anna would be around until the next bombshell comes in that Leo picks up on, or Cassie Moore.
Well, we still don't know because it could be a new bombshell coming in next week for the women because we still don't know what is going on with Ariana Madix. Is she going to be a guest host? Is she going to be a new bomb? Apparently she's in a relationship, and so it's likely not a new bomb.
I think that was the scandal, was that they separated very painfully.
According to Nina, who's following Vanderpump very closely, dating somebody, and so that's why she feels very confidently that it's a guest host. And so we're gonna have to wait and see because they definitely worded it as though she was going to be a new bombshell and she's going to be turning some heads, and so it's going to be interesting to see if she is a guest host, if she's the new participant. Hopefully she can sway Leo away. Hopefully somebody sways Hannah away from Marco because Hannah seems very nice and Marco is just the worst. So if we get rid of Marco and I'm going to be a very happy guy here moving on to the next episode. But we're going to be back next week talking more Love Island, talking more Bachelorette, as well as anything else that pops up. If you want us to cover a specific show, let us know. And if we aren't very in-depth in it, we can bring somebody else on who is. And so you can let us know on Twitter or Instagram at Ticket2Reality. As well as you can always leave us a nice 5-star rating and review and ask us questions. Tell us to talk about a show and we'll talk about it on the air as well. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. Do subscribe. It helps us so much. And like I said, we will be back with another Ticket to Reality for you next week. On behalf of our wonderful producer, Ruben, behind the scenes, my fellow agents, Emma and Ryan, as well as my wife, Ava, my name has been TJ Zwarych. It hasn't just been TJ.
It's been.
I'm not planning on changing it anytime soon. But my name is TJ Zwarych, and it has been Ticket to Reality.